I forget to wipe my mud flaps?
McQueen's driver arrived in California, but McQueen was missing.
Race car Lightning McQueen was reported missing.
McQueen is scheduled to race in an unprecedented...
Sponsor stated they have no idea where he
They're
is.
all asking the same question.
So, hypothetically, what if Lightning McQueen never went missing before the 2005 championship in Los Angeles? Would he have been the same?
Welcome back to Piston Cup BFM, and today we're doing another Bad Seasons video, Lightning McQueen 2017.
Is this the end of Lightning McQueen and Rust-Eze Racing? Yes, it is. No, it's not. I don't know where your video is going to go.
In 1990, two brothers, blue-collar business associates, Rusty and Dusty Rust-Eze, started a business venture for a simple reason: to help rusty cars by producing a revolutionary new medicated bumper ointment to preserve and conserve one's rusty bumper. They actually did this in their mother's garage in Boston, Massachusetts. Their mother said, "I couldn't be more proud of my two boys' accomplishment, but I hoped that their next big move would be finally to move out of my garage." It did not take long for these cars to have their medicated bumper ointment selling off the shelves as fast as they could produce it. They had more money than they knew what to do with. It was even rumored that Dusty had invested some of his money in a startup company that wanted to produce personal car computer chips, later known as Orange, started by Steve Cars. And of course, we all know how productive that became in the long run. So these two had money for days. So when it was suggested they advertise, they had one place to go: the Piston Cup. Rusty and Dusty were longtime fans of the Piston Cup racing scene, and by 1995, they were a proud sponsor of car number 67, Bobby Rotesta, a mid-90s stock car who would later serve a career into the early 2000s, but for a while, he was Rusty's guy, serving as their spokescar for many years, until Rusty and Dusty took their next step in racing. As the Rust-Eze brand grew and the customer base also grew with it, the company added a fleet of Rust-Eze delivery workers, with their lead delivery worker being a 1980s era Mack superliner known as simply Mack. Mack won Employee of the Year from 2000 to 2004, and at the end of 2004, Rust-Eze made an announcement that would shock many, but after a couple seasons not sponsoring Bobby Rotesta, electing to be an affiliate sponsor of the Piston Cup itself, including the Rust-Eze 300 held at the Massachusetts Motor Speedway. But at that time, Dusty and Rusty made this announcement that they would be partnering with a newly built hotshot race car, Lightning McQueen. Equipped with the latest in Piston Cup technology, Lightning and Rust-Eze partnered for a phenomenal rookie season with McQueen in 2005 for the opening formation of Rust-Eze Racing, and longtime loyal employee Mack would be chosen to take off the Rust-Eze delivery trailer and sport the race car delivery trailer, Lightning's own personal home away from home. Lightning would run a number 95, and even though he was a rookie, you would not guess it outside of his attitude. He was certainly hard to work with. You know, he went through 6 total crew chiefs his rookie season, and he had his entire pit crew quit working for him following what was supposed to be the final race of the season at Motor Speedway of the South in Tennessee. During that 2005 season, Lightning McQueen, as a rookie, won 9 times, picking up his first win at Glen Ellen Raceway. But the problem was that the king, Strip Wetters, won 13 times, and the majority of times, it'd be those two in the top 3 every week, joined alongside Chick Hicks, of course, who was finally hitting the prime of his career since beginning in 1985. Chick Hicks went to victory lane 1 time in the regular season when Strip Wetters had a flat tire in the final corner at Pennsylvania Speedway, and most fans would almost call that one a Mickey win, but Chick Hicks still bragged about beating the king for 4 weeks straight in typical Chick Hicks fashion. Truth be told, Chick Hicks had no respect for Chip Wetters, and he definitely did not have respect for the rookie Lightning McQueen. Coming into the final race of the season, McQueen, Hicks, and Wetters were tied atop the points battle, and essentially, to decide a champion that season, it would depend on where they finished. But here's the problem. In that 400 lap event, Lightning McQueen looked as though he was cruising in to clearly win the title, despite being spun by Chick Hicks one time and narrowly avoiding the big one in turn 3, famously jumping over an overturned race car, landing successfully on the back straightaway. However, working without a crew chief, Lightning consistently ignored suggestions from his pit crew to take new tires, and he blew both of his rear tires coming to the finish line. With sparks flying, McQueen tried his hardest to make it to the finish line. Meanwhile, Weathers and Hicks crew chiefs both radioed that McQueen had blown his tires and the window was open. It was now or never, and in quite possibly one of the most insane finishes in Piston Cup history, Chick Hicks and Strip Weathers, racing side by side, made the moves around Lightning McQueen, and albeit the very controversial ruling that it was declared legal by Piston Cup officials, with Lightning McQueen extending his tongue enough to reach the line at the same time that the other two competitors reached there as well. We had, for the first time ever, a three-way tie. The crowd waited nearly 1 hour after the race for officials to reach their decision. This race was really important for a lot of reasons, because it was widely rumored that Lightning McQueen was going to leave Rust-Eze Racing to be the new face of Dinoco Racing, who had been with the King for years. If McQueen had won that night, he'd have had more than he ever dreamed of as a young race car. Of course, there was also the same rumors that Dinoco would go to Chick Hicks too, but let's face it, all those rumors was coming from one source: Chick Hicks. I mean, let's be real, Chick. You can't fit another sticker on you, bud. Everyone always wonders why contingency sponsors eventually went away in Piston Cup. Well, look no further than that guy right there. He took literally any money that would come his way, and he just looked tacky. His racing style didn't help anything either. However, going back, yes, to end the 2005 season, Rust-Eze's first season, their race car tied for the championship that he should have easily won that night. Piston Cup officials decided that to determine the champion that season, a tiebreaker race would be held at the Los Angeles International Raceway the next week between just those three competitors. Winner takes all. The team set off for California, and you knew that anyone who was anyone would be there for that one. All the celebrities would be there, but the problem was, by Tuesday morning when the haulers arrived, Lightning McQueen, he was nowhere to be found. It had a lot of people shocked and talking. Popular late-night talk show hosts were cracking jokes about this. The California Governor Hummer was stating that McQueen should be found at all costs, and some competitors not participating in the event, such as Dale Carhart Jr., were deeply concerned about Lightning's safety. Now, it's still quite unclear exactly what happened that night. Some people suspected Chick Hicks of sabotage. Some people suspected that he was kidnapped for ransom. But what we do know is that by Friday night, before the race in 2 days, an anonymous report came into the media that Lightning McQueen was in the small Arizona town of Radiator Springs, a population size of 12. Now, some details were erased from the records, but we do know from the legal records that acting lawyer Toe Mater defended Lightning McQueen in court under the direction of Judge Doc Hudson. And while originally Judge Hudson dismissed McQueen's charges, he then rescinded that decision and ordered Lightning McQueen to repay the town's $1.5 million in property damages by repaving the town's road under the supervision of the town's sheriff. Again, all the details of what happened that week are still unclear even to this day, but the media raced off to Radiator Springs when this anonymous tip came in about his whereabouts. McQueen was then loaded back into his hauler, towed by the ever-loyal Mac. When the media finally got a chance to talk with McQueen at the Speedway, he said his time in Radiator Springs was rewarding, but he questioned what he wanted to do moving forward now. Something seemed different about Lightning McQueen. As the championship race got underway, McQueen seemed off the pace to start. Working without a crew chief or pit crew, Mac filled in both roles initially to start the race as his pit crew and crew chief. However, things picked up when an unfamiliar voice was heard over the 95's radio chatter. All of a sudden, Lightning McQueen had a makeshift pit crew. And who was this voice we heard? Who was his crew chief? None other than the legendary 3-time Piston Cup Series champion, the fabulous Hudson Hornet. The legend of the sport had not been seen in more than 50 years since his crash in 1954, and all of a sudden, he's back mentoring the guy who seemingly nobody could mentor before. It left the commentary team of Bob Cutlass and Daryl Cartrip shocked, to say the least, but nowhere near as shocked as they were when his new tire changer Guido was able to successfully complete a 4-tire pit stop in 3 seconds to get back on the lead lap. McQueen would make a strong charge, taking the lead away from Hicks and Weathers, and was cruising away towards the championship. In a bizarre turn of events though, not being content with third, Chick Hicks deliberately wrecked and tried to harm Strip Weathers in his final race. Weathers flew into the air tumbling hard, and McQueen, upon seeing what happened behind him, stopped racing in protest, just inches away from the finish line for Chick Hicks to pass McQueen and win the 2005 Piston Cup Championship. Many were shocked that Piston Cup officials did not revoke the title away from Chick Hicks for rough racing, in all honesty, but Lightning McQueen purposely lost drove back to Weathers and pushed him across the finish line. As heard over the 95's radio communications, Weathers said to McQueen, "Kid, you just threw away the Piston Cup. You know that?" McQueen responded back with, "This grumpy old race car I know once told me something. It's just an empty cup." The crowd cheered in approval of McQueen's actions, and after the race, although Hicks was given the trophy, there was no celebration. Rather, he was booed off the championship stage. As for what happened to McQueen, he of course had the open invitation to stay with Rust-Eze Racing. But what does not get talked about enough is that Tex, the owner of Dinoco Racing, the longtime team of Strip Weathers, actually offered McQueen the role as racer for Dinoco Racing, even though McQueen did not win the race. McQueen, to the surprise of many, actually turned down the offer of Dinoco to stay with Rust-Eze Racing. Lightning McQueen and Tex always had a great business understanding and relationship, and he always liked the guys over at Rust-Eze Racing, so he did not have any hard feelings for his decline. When Lightning McQueen did turn the offer down though, Cal Weathers, the nephew of Strip Weathers, would be named a new racer for Dinoco Racing in the number 42 entry, where he would remain until 2016, staying equally competitive with the likes of McQueen and Bobby Swift. Staying with Rust-Eze Racing, McQueen, with the approval of Rusty and Dusty, moved the racing operations of Rust-Eze Racing to Radiator Springs, which helped the tourism of the town exponentially, revitalizing the old town even. With the help and support of his lawyer and also girlfriend Sally, the two would also revitalize the old Wheel Well Motel, which overlooks Radiator Springs. The Wheel Well would become not only a very popular motel again, but also was a popular nightclub for the area as well. And with working out of the new racing facility in Radiator Springs, McQueen went on a phenomenal run over the next few seasons, winning 4 of the renamed Hudson Hornet Piston Cups by 2010, 1 in 2006, and 3 in a row from 2008 to 2010. McQueen only got the race with the Hudson Hornet as his crew chief for 2 full seasons before health issues would lead to Hudson Hornet's passing in 2008. But McQueen said that he will always cherish that time he had with him, and he always considered Hudson Hornet to be his mentor. During the off-season between 2010 and 2011 though, Lightning McQueen was challenged by Italian Formula race car Francesco Bernoulli, and ultimately McQueen got drawn into the very controversial World Grand Prix presented by All in All Alternative Fuels, which, as we all later found out, was a dangerous product, and ultimately, thanks to the help of Rust-Eze Racing employee and friend of Lightning McQueen, Tow Mater, the owner of the company, Miles Axelrod, was revealed to be the mastermind behind a terrorist plot in London, England, and a plan to ultimately make cars more dependent on big oil companies. The revealing of this terror plot led to the arrest of more than 40 Lemon cars involved in the crimes, and it is believed that several more went into hiding since this terror plot. With the full support of the Royal Kingdom of England, Mr. Tow Mater was knighted by the Queen of England herself for his heroic actions in early 2011. Since nobody was really declared the winner of the World Grand Prix as a result of all of the all-in-all drama, Lightning McQueen, Rust-Eze, and other Piston Cup officials helped organize the first ever Radiator Springs Grand Prix, bringing in drivers from all across the world to race in the historic and breathtaking views of the Arizona mountains, which McQueen would go on to win. From there, McQueen continued years of dominance, becoming a 7-time Piston Cup champion by 2015, and in 2016, just when it looked like he could be on pace for an 8th title, things in the Piston Cup changed drastically. Midway through the season, we saw the first of what would become many rookies in the sport. Jackson Storm, to be more specific. Now, Jackson Storm, he was quite the race car. He started in the back, biding his patience, but in the final laps of his first race, he shocked the world, rocketing almost unseen and stole the win away from McQueen, Cal Weathers, and Bobby Swift in the final laps. Storm no doubt opened the door for other next-gen racers throughout the 2016 season. Before you knew it, lots of teams were dropping their race cars of old for new young racers. In some of the more shocking news that season, Bobby Swift, the 2012 champion, was fired in favor of Danny Swervez, and while he was not replaced, Cal Weathers retired from Piston Cup racing midway through the 2016 season. By the time the final race arrived, McQueen was not in contention for the championship. Jackson Storm overcame a late season start and won enough races to win the 2016 Hudson Hornet Championship. But what's sometimes forgotten about is how hard that Storm pushed McQueen in that last race of the season. McQueen, running in 6th at the time, pushed too hard, blowing his motor, slamming into the wall, going airborne, tumbling, eerily similar to the crashes that ended the careers of Doc Hudson and Strip Weathers. Many racing experts and analysts, RSN's highly controversial and unprofessional Chick Hicks to be particular, doubted if Lightning McQueen would even race again in 2017. But the plan was at least for McQueen to keep racing for Rust-Eze Racing. But with McQueen's performances fading and retirement being in question, Dusty and Rusty with Rust-Eze stayed persistent that they had no intention of replacing McQueen, but they knew that they were not prepared to give him what he needed. So, Dusty and Rusty, after 27 years in business as the leading manufacturer of medicated Rusty bumper ointment, made the hard decision to sell the entire Rust-Eze company to the dubbed Mudflat King of Sterling Dunn. Dunn was a wealthy billionaire who admittedly was a big fan of Lightning McQueen, and he wanted to see McQueen do well. So with the acquisition of Rust-Eze, the product, and the brand, Dunn opened a new Rust-Eze Racing Center in Orlando, Florida, where they would be training generations of new Piston Cup talents, and they also hoped to train McQueen back into racing form with the help of their top trainer, Cruz Ramirez. Rumors were swirling if McQueen would actually make it to the season-opening Florida 500 at the Florida International Raceway in Daytona, Florida, but although it was said McQueen's training was questionable at best, even resulting in the destruction of a $3.8 million racing simulator, as well as a strange night at Thunder Hollow Speedway in which McQueen and trainer Cruz Ramirez competed under different names and actually won the Crazy 8 race, sparking a lot of buzz on the small dirt track. But even with this, McQueen did make it to the race in Florida, starting last with the Champions Provisional as a result of missing out on the qualifying in the Dinoco duels in Florida. However, in a strange turn of events, we saw a race car change mid-race. This hasn't happened often in Piston Cup racing, but it is legal. The rules state that the number has to be in the race. It does not say that the car that starts has to finish. So Guido put 4 racing tires on Cruz Ramirez, and Rust-Eze expert paint scheme designer Ramon stepped in to give Ramirez a quick number change with Rust-Eze branding. Reportedly, owner of Rust-Eze, Sterling Dunn, was not happy with the decision, as he had actually just told Ramirez to leave the speedway and return to trade to under racers. But this was a call by McQueen, and nobody was going to stop him here. With Ramirez on track, there was also a crew chief change. Veteran crew chief for the Hudson Hornet, Smokey, had joined the team as Lightning McQueen's crew chief, but with McQueen more familiar with Ramirez's driving abilities, McQueen took over the headset and coached the 95 of Ramirez as she worked her way through the field, and ultimately she had a lot of speed, and in her first race, in what would become Rust-Eze Racing's final race, Ramirez won the Florida 500 in an amazing pass on Jackson Storm by jumping over him as he tried to put her in the wall. In post-race interviews, she said she heard a story about the Hudson Hornet doing that once. But from what I, along with other racing experts, can find, this might have just been that, a story. I can't find any proof that the Hudson Hornet actually did that. As for what happened after the win, Sterling Dunn offered Ramirez the role as full-time racer for Rust-Eze Racing, to which she declined, saying she could never race for such a bad team owner. Then out of nowhere, still having not found his new next-gen racer, Tex, the owner of Dinoco, offered Cruz Ramirez the open position of Dinoco Racing's Piston Cup racer. She immediately accepted, and by the end of that week, Tex and the Dinoco Corporation bought Rust-Eze from Sterling Dunn, and with that, Dinoco Racing absorbed Rust-Eze Racing, merging the two to the new team that they are today, Dinoco Rust-Eze Motorsports. And due to the conditions of McQueen's contract with Sterling Dunn, in which the deal was if McQueen won the Florida 500, he would be free to decide when he wants to retire. If he had lost, he would have to retire immediately. And because he was listed as the co-winner by starting the race, he was within the rights of his contract. McQueen did choose to retire for a little bit. Ramirez donned the rebranded Dinoco colors in her unique yellow and blue design, sporting the number 51 in honor of the late Doc Hudson. And returning in late 2017, McQueen would compete in a paint scheme to honor Doc Hudson as well, while also advertising Rust-Eze in a select number of races in 2017. And ultimately, he would do one final season in 2018, getting a proper retirement. He never would again, but Ramirez would continue to find success, having won the Hudson Hornet Championship twice already in her career, once in 2018 and again most recently in 2021, while team rival Jackson Storm won the title in 2016, 2017, and 2019, with Chase Racelot winning it in 2020. The true downfall of Rust-Eze Racing is a combination of poor performances for Lightning McQueen in the later years of his career, in addition to poor business decisions by team owner Sterling Dunn. But the legacy of that brand and team created by two rusty cars from Boston will forever live on in the history books of the Piston Cup, and it will always live on in Dinoco Rust-Eze Motorsports. And today, Lightning McQueen is a top business executive in a team focusing on keeping the team going for years to come. So what did you think of the team's story? Did you enjoy rooting for Lightning McQueen back in the day? Do you still cheer for Cruz Ramirez today? And do you think that Chick Hicks should have had his 2005 championship revoked by the Piston Cup? Let me know what you think down below, and also, happy April 1st, aka April Fool's Day. This one, much like the Dinoco Racing video, was fun to make, and I really hope you enjoyed it. We'll see what happens this time next year, but in the meantime, if you are new to my channel, hey, please drop a like, it's worth it, you know this video was good, and please subscribe to my channel. I do a lot of videos about NASCAR racing on my channel, including these rise and fall videos where I detail the history of several real-life NASCAR entities that have come and gone in the history of the sport. Special thanks to some of my friends here on YouTube for their assistance in making this video. Until next time I see you all, I just want to say thanks again for checking out today's video, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye guys. Hey race fans, thanks for watching this video from DannyBTalks. If you're new to my channel, please be sure to hit subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss another video from my channel.